welcome. I'm super excited that you're here. Yes, my name is Adebimpe and you can call me the Royal Muse. This is the Simplified Academy, a subset of the Simplified Apparels, which is an emerging brand in the Nigerian fashion industry. Then you may ask, why the 25th Royal Academy? Well, we have a vision to bridge the gap in knowledge for aspiring designers between what they know or don't know and what they desire to know. Okay, and you're in this class because this is the second phase of our official launch of 25th Royal Academy. The first class was held in brick and mortar, and this class is titled Demystifying the Basic Bodies. So the business of today, in respect of our official launch, we decided to take this free class to enable people to know how to draft the basic bodies. Yes, there's a lot of confusion when it comes to drafting the bodies. I've been there, so I understand what people, designers especially, go through when we have to draft a bodies, especially when you're just a beginner, or yes, you call yourself intermediate, but then there's still some things that confuses you once in a while. I'm like, oh, how do I go about this? So that's why you're here, and that is why we're here. At the end of this class, you should be able to draft the basic bodies, understanding the purpose of a dart, and determining the proper waistline and armhole depth. Now to the key highlights. I've forwarded two other videos. One video showing how to take proper body measurement, the other video showing how to draft a basic bodies. Now, what is this basic bodies we're talking about? Because yes, bodies, it sounds so, what's this? And why the word demystify? Because I know people say, why did she use demystify, big ram and everything? Yes, the bodies of a female is a mystery. Yes, and that's why a lot of people get confused, and it's so technical at first until you find that trick, and that's why we call it demystifying the basic bodies. Now, the basic bodies is that garment worn by females that covers the upper part of the body. It starts from the shoulder to the natural waistline. Take note that the waistline of a female is not the navel, because I know that a lot of tailors tell you that the waist should be at the navel. The garment is going to look very hard, so rather you should put the waistline at that natural point. I showed it in my video, that point where the waist is the smallest. When you look at the figure, especially, you know, God has created the female figure in such a way that yes, it's defined and it's very lovely. So the smallest part where the waist comes, that's where you can see that this is the smallest part of the female body at the waist. That's where you will use as a natural waistline. Now, I've outlined how to take proper measurements for the basic bodies. Now, another thing I would like to talk about is confidence. Confidence is one key ingredient that a designer cannot afford to do without. As an aspiring designer, you need to be confident of your trade. You can't emphasize it. Now, like my instructor, while I was making, tell me, say, the same way you're going to cut a $50 million naira fabric is the same way you're going to cut the paper. So go ahead, cut it. You need that confidence. You can't overemphasize it. It's one ingredient that you cannot afford to do without. So you have to be confident in who you are and what you're doing and in the knowledge that you have. So the next highlight is tools of the trade. I showed in the video to draft the basic bodies. I outlined certain tools. They are numerous and cannot be exhausted. You have the French curve, the metal ruler. There's something called the armhole curve. I showed one. It's called a multi-purpose ruler. It had the armhole curve. If you see in that video, I used it to draft my armhole, and I used the metal ruler, a plastic ruler. Rulers come in various sizes, shapes, and color, of course. Yes, so you kind of emphasize the ruler in garment construction. The next thing is, in my video, I showed how to determine what my dart is, because at times they just tell you take a waist, add 1 inch, and truth be told, at times that's not enough for that figure, and then you just put on the garment and you're like, so what's the function of the dart? So I showed us how to actually allot darts. That is not only at the center front, this place, no, this place also requires a dart, as well as some various other parts of the body. You can actually manipulate your darts to those areas of the body, and that's what makes a garment very beautiful. It becomes, darts can become a style line. It can, you've seen some garments and you don't even know it's a dart. Yes, it's a dart. So now, the purpose of a dart in a garment is to have fullness, to control fullness, and to add styles to the garment. Now you're asking me, what's to control fullness? At first when I drafted that video of the bodies, I showed you, I just made it, you call it drab, yes, but that is the basis of a shift blouse or dress. Now, when you don't want it to be too free, what I did next was I used the dart to bring it close, to define it, and it became controlled. So the fullness you saw at the beginning was then controlled. So that's the function of a dart. Then later you can manipulate it to create various designs. I think you've seen TR cutting, yes, where you manipulate darts into various timelines, and you're like, how did they cut this clothes? Yes, we can teach you that at the 25th Royal Designs, yes. Or rather, at the 25th Royal Academy, pardon me. So don't be surprised at various things you see on the garment and you're just wondering, how did they do this? It's simple. It's just you understanding your trade, you understanding how to do it, and you're good to go. The next thing, how to determine the depth distance, I've explained to you using the video tutorial. Now, how to determine the proper armhole depth. In that video, you saw that I divided the bust by 4, but because I had 9.5, I said I would want at least 1 inch in difference between the chest line and the bust line. The chest line is where we define the armhole curve. So I went ahead to use 9 instead of 9.5. Now, the best way to determine the armhole depth that I see that works best is to actually divide the bust by 4. Yes, is to actually divide the bust by 4. But then you see some people tell you that you divide the bust by 6 and add 1.5 inch. Plus or minus, you're almost going to come back to that same measurement of bust divided by 4. The next thing I want to explain and demystify, like I've been doing since, is the shoulder vis-a-vis the neck. Now, God is what we call the best. How can you define him? He's the creator, he's the best artist, best physician, best doctor, best architect, best in everything. In short, the Bible says he is the potter. Now, when he molded the human body, it will shock you to know that he created our shoulder in such a way that this whole shoulder, when we take the measurements, we call shoulder, has been so divided into 3. I don't know how, but it has been discovered that the same length you have from here to here is the same length you have from here to here, and the same length you have from here to here. So when I want to draft my neckline using 1/4 of my body, all I just have to do is divide that 1/4 into 4 at the shoulder. That is, if my shoulder is 15, I divide my shoulder into 2, that's 7.5, and I'll go ahead and divide the 7.5 into 3. That's into 3, that's 1/3 of it will give me half of this side. And invariably, times 2 gives me the whole neckline. So if you're stuck at the point of how do I fix a neckline, I don't know how much neckline, just go ahead and do that. Divide your shoulder while drafting into 3, pick one side. Then if the styliner determines that you take more neck, you go ahead and use your discretion to just do that. But then when you want to make a fitted neckline, just like the way I'm wearing, you go ahead and divide it into 3 equal parts, and you're good to go. That way you don't have a too tight neck or a too wide neck. And trust me, tailoring is so interesting, especially pattern drafting is so much fun. So the next thing I'll be demystifying is ease. Yes, when we wear garments, we need to be able to move in it, especially at the armhole side. You need to be able to lift your hands. It won't be wise for you to draft a garment, sew it and wear it, and you can braid. So yes, garment ease cannot be overemphasized. It adds allowance. It helps. It gives room for movements in your garment. So I've gone ahead to remove some of the things I see that are issues that people face when drafting bodies. Now I hope that has gone a great way to enlighten you, and I'm sure by now you had the basic bodies has been demystified. Yes, that's the word, demystified. So enough of the talk. You can go right to the video, or if you watched it earlier, then you're good to go. So I will be available to take questions and answers and comments, yes, and criticism too, especially if it is constructive criticism, because you know that a lot of time I've gone into making this video. So I would also like to learn more from you, because I understand that there are amongst us intermediates that are also confident. I like that word, confident. So you can also teach me, and you can also, I'm sure you've learned 1 or 2 things from this video. So yes, the 25th Royal Academy, yes, is online and on-site. That is in brick and mortar. We have a physical location and we have an online presence. So if you're interested in enrolling in our class has been for ease of of process so that it doesn't become confusing. We've broken down our class into 3, and to make it easy to navigate for the beginner, to make it less cumbersome. So we have the beginners class, we have the intermediate class, and we have the advanced class 1, advanced class 2, and advanced class 3. Yes, tailoring is that broad and that interesting. So if you're interested, I'll go ahead and post the course contents for the 5 classes for you to see. And once again, I really appreciate you coming here, and like I said in the chat, thank you for making this dream a reality. God bless you.